Good evening and welcome to Kolkata Center for Creativity. We are live on Facebook and Zoom as well. And a very warm welcome in today's Artist Entrepreneur session. So before starting, I would like to introduce Kolkata Center for Creativity in few words. It's a multidisciplinary interactive art center that has been working in the areas of research and development in art language, art practice, and diverse discourses of inclusivity, capacity building, and well-being through the discussions, presentation, promotion, appreciation, and application of different art disciplines in cultural landscape of contemporary India since its inception in November 2018. We just celebrated her birthday recently. As a culmination of its art research and developmental practices, KCC aims for effective change through application and accessibility by providing a bridge between artists, scholars, students, enthusiasts, and people from different communities with diversity of choices, opportunities, and challenges. We have started this artist entrepreneur talks when lockdown happened in India, and we wanted to hear about artists and how entrepreneurs are thinking about the current time. And today is the last session of this season. We have seen many performers, scholars in the series who shared their journey of their entrepreneurship. Our last talk was with Vas Krishnamachari, who shared his Binale journey and focused on sponsorship and partnership. And today we are very delighted to have Mr. Jehan Manekshaw with us. Before starting, I would like to introduce Jehan with few words. He has a master's in theatre direction from Birkbeck University of London. He is a co-founder and managing director of Theatre Professionals Education. He is also a co-founder and head of school at Drama School Mumbai. He is a recipient of the Sangeet Natak Academy Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar. Jehan Manekshaw has taught at Ninasam, Art Center for Movement Arts, St. Xavier's, as well as Shishnu University, Japan, and NSD's Theatre in Education Division in Agartala. Jehan has developed drama and education programs for schools across India. At Drama School Mumbai, Jehan leads pedagogy and course design for the faculty and guest faculty team. We also have our director, Ms. Reena Dewan, today as moderator. If you have any questions, please put it in the question answer box. And who are watching us over Facebook, please put your questions in the comment section. For our Zoom audience, if you have any comments, put it in the chat box. Hope you will enjoy today's session. I'm handing it over to Ms. Dewan to moderate the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ravasti. It's a pleasure to have Jehan with us today, but I must acknowledge that I am really missing Titas, who's not there with us today because she is not well and she had been so much of a face of this series that it's really impossible to, actually finish this without her. So I'm really missing you, Titas, with us today. Uh, Jehan, I think the best start would be that I ask you, I request you to please share about your work, like how your work, how your journey, when, why, how you started theater professionals. Just give us a sense of your work.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to all of you for having me. I too miss Titas and wish her a speedy recovery. She spoke to me about this as early as I think it was August or September. She put the series together and had me in, and we discussed it at length. So I was very much looking forward and really appreciated the long-term view and planning with which she had put the whole season together. So I will just want to say that she's missed as far as I'm concerned as well. Having said that, we had a great chat today. So I'm sure this will be a good session as a result of that. So yes, I think the beginning to start with, let me share a little bit about myself. I have a Masters of Fine Arts in Theatre Direction, and this was from Birkbeck in the University of London. But the main thing I want to tell you about that course is that it was preparing us to be effective theatre directors in the UK industry. And this is what I was being trained for. And I had originally envisaged back in 2002, 2003, 4, 5, 6, when I was there, that this would be my life, and I would stay in the UK and do work over there. But of course, Indian passport, visas, all of that. How can you be an artist in the UK? What kind of work permit and all? And I found myself back in my home country, India. And as much as I was really despondent at that moment in time, it turned out to be the best thing that had ever happened to me. Because I was back in Mumbai and I found myself participating in different theater groups and theater organizations, etc., but finding that there was a big need. And the big need was, in order for us to have a robust and a robust and vibrant theater sector in which there are good quality of plays, lots of audiences come, we have to have this work happen in a way that we have to have a quality to the work. And the quality to the work can only come if the artists involved have time to make good work, have time to think about good work, and are not worried about multiple modes of sustenance, the idea that theater is a hobby or a part-time activity, etc. So in that sense, in 2008, after 2 years back and trying to figure it out, I co-founded a company called Theatre Professionals with my co-founder Tasneem Fatehi. And we started very quickly with basically acting workshops for the existing theatre community in Mumbai. And along with that, we also, because we had to do some rosy roti and earn some livings, we used to teach drama classes in different international schools in Mumbai. Now, slowly, these two things really took off in independent directions. The workshops became longer workshops. The community, which was first experienced actors in Mumbai who wanted to do some formal training, because the workshops were conducted by instructors who all had trained at drama schools. That became more and more robust. And as a result, the acting workshops that we started in 2008 led to the Drama School Mumbai, which was founded in 2013. And the work we did in schools and classrooms and all of that with teacher training, children's work, etc., that became a company called Theatre Professionals and Theatre Professionals Education. I'll just screen share slightly to give you a visual sense of this. So indulge me for a few seconds. This won't take too long, but it'll also help us tell the story a little bit more. So Theatre Professionals, really, we just imagine it being, as an organization, is about building the theatre ecosystem as a whole. And this involves transforming learning through drama. It involves transforming life through drama. It involves transforming the sector through drama. The three main sort of divisions that happened, well, two divisions actually. The DSM became its own entity. I'll explain that in a bit. One was Theatre Professionals Education, which works in the school sector and follows drama and education work, basically. We're trying to enrich academic achievement, and we're trying to enrich the quality of school life through bringing drama into education, not just as a single class, but how can drama be part of all the different things that teachers do, every different aspects of a school life, a child's life in school, not just a simple 1 hour period of drama per week. So that's what we did with Theatre Professionals Education, and that's what we continue to do. Theatre Professionals HRD is a corporate training entity which basically looks at how to use drama to effectively build, like, a corporate workforce culture. So team building exercises, communication, socio-emotional learning, how to be a more effective presenter, but also things like, how to practice diversity and inclusion, how to stop harassment or bullying in the workplace. Multiple elements that you can imagine as soft skills or soft cultures, Theatre Professionals HRD does. And finally, there's a Drama School Mumbai, which is where my main focus is. Theatre Professionals Education is run by my co-founder, Tasneem Fatehi. Theatre Professionals HRD is run by a partner of ours called Steve Gupta, who has been doing corporate training through drama for many, many years. But the Drama School Mumbai is where my focus is, and this is where I wanted to take the attention to. I'll just quickly say a little bit more about theatre professionals education very quickly, because I know that Reena and I are going to talk about this. But over the past 12 years, whilst we didn't have lockdown, we were working in multiple schools, giving 2,000 different teachers our methods. Of course, through them, the lakhs of students who were taught by those teachers. And these are the benefits of drama and education. This is the stuff that we have found that actually happens when you give teachers these tools instead of um, just having us come in and teach a drama class. But of course, at the lockdown, all of this stopped. Um, and we had to figure out what to do. And immediately we found ourselves adapting to the digital space. One of the key founding members of Theatre Professionals Education, Shazia Jifri, with a number of team, created the school library project right at the beginning of lockdown, which just started to feature different things that children should use, children should see. And if you look at the school library project by Theatre Professionals on YouTube, you'll find a whole bunch of curated stories and different events and exposure, which parents and children were watching during lockdown. Even teachers have started to use it for children whilst they're still in lockdown. We managed to take some of our drama for learning work and help teachers go into online spaces to see how they can be more effective and have better presence in Zoom. And of course, we're still doing webinars, etc. One of the beautiful things is of this medium is now I'm sitting in Mumbai. Well, actually, right now I'm not. I'm sitting in South India, but I can come and do a talk for the Kolkata Center for Creativity. So why not use that and use it for our advocacy time? And of course, we did some workshops for children as well, which we were trying to do. So this is kind of what Theatre Professionals Education has been working on. But what I wanted to share with you, one second, I'm just looking for it. So, sorry. So as I said earlier, basically the DSM's history starts in Theatre Professionals, where we started to create these short programs. But since 2013, the DSM existed. And after 7 years, we have 100 alumni, 40 plus faculty members. And this is kind of the history there, which I kind of described verbally. But we used to do little advanced workshops and then created a 3-week long workshop. And then finally in 2013, Theatre Professionals itself created the Drama School and held the Drama School as a division for till 2017. But 2017, Drama School Mumbai has become a completely independent entity. It's a not-for-profit company, Section 8, with 12A and 80G status. So we're a charitable organization as well. When it was Theatre Professionals workshops and not the Drama School, these were the kind of people who would attend those workshops. They have all gone on to make a name of them for themselves. And now the students who've actually graduated from the full 1-year postgraduate course at the Drama School, they are also starting to make a mark in the industry. These are just the more famous faces that we are beginning to have. But of course, this is not to say anything about many of them who formed successful theatre groups. There are at least 7 or 8 original plays that have come out, 3 or 4 original theatre groups that have come out from our alumni. And they continue to work in many different fields, including drama and education. So this was an old set of slides. I didn't have time to update it for this, but this is what we used to do before lockdown. We had a 1-year postgraduate course. We had many short workshops. We have lots of public talks, and we're trying to develop the theatre network. The postgraduate course was an intensive in-person course at the Mumbai Marathi Sahitya Sangh in South Mumbai. It used to run 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. for 48 weeks of the year. And there was it was like such a stacked course in the space. We could not, if anything went wrong, even 1 week, even somebody fell sick for 2 days, a faculty member, the domino effect of disruption would be huge, and we would be scrambling to make it work. So imagine what happened when COVID happened. We had packed such a tight course that was so tightly designed for this. And this is the kind of work that we would teach the students, because we don't just teach them to be actors, and this is something that I think Reena and I will talk about later. We teach them to be theater makers, people who can not just act, but also if they're not getting jobs as actors, they can make their own work. And if you make your own work, you have to make sure your own work is seen, because only when you are in work and you are constantly outputting and your work is visible to the world can you then get further career opportunities and career growth. So it's not important to just be an artist. You have to be a theater maker and an entrepreneur as well. And this is a work ethic that we fundamentally teach at the program. And this is the kind of places our applications have started to come from in Mumbai. So last year, just before the lockdown, this was the final set of statistics where we had 3,000 people who were interested. We talked to all of them. 132 actually applied. And then we didn't have a course to give them in July because of the pandemic. So what we did was we spent July, August, September trying to figure out what we were going to do. And we finally came up with, and we did a number of things in the meantime. I'll just share that as well. One of the things we did was we launched the Global Faculty Program, where because of Zoom, we said, chalo, let's bring the whole world to India. And every month, an international theatre practitioner comes down and teaches a course to the existing DSM community. And this has managed to just barely keep contributing some income that is offsetting our costs. So instead of just having our survival only last till December, thanks to these 6 or 7 workshops we've done, our survival might last till January or February. You know, this was the first activity we did starting out of the program. The second thing, of course, is we spent July, August, and September imagining how can we go forward. And we managed to convince 66 of the 132 people who originally applied for that course, for the normal, usual course, to apply for this course, which is a foundation course in acting and theatre making, where the pillars are similar to the main course, but slightly different because we had to adapt the content, of course. Only what was possible to teach in Zoom, we taught in Zoom. Everything else we've held back for maybe a future advanced course. This is only 6 months long, and you can see the details about it. But if you go to the website, but basically these are the 3 things that we think we could teach in a 22-week program. It's still a full-time course. It's still a full-time course, and the weekly schedule is very, very intensive in the similar way. But we, of course, took account on Zoom fatigue, etc., and we made this course happen. The good news is, from the 132 applications, 66 applied. We gave seats to 28. Some of them even got scholarships as usual. We feel like we've managed to keep our values in this space and go forward regardless of the changes or the desperation that might come to an organization trying to make ends meet at this time. So we managed to do that, and we're very happy with that. And now, because this course works, this course started on the October 12th. The students have been in the course for 6 weeks. They've just come back from Diwali break, and it's going rather well, even if I say so myself. Another thing that we're trying to do is see if we can create something called Project Eklavya, which is, this is the working title, but the idea is that it's an on-demand e-learning program of courses, like very short module courses that are pre-recorded and anyone can join. The courses look like this. Each module is 3 hours or 4 hours, affordable cost. We plan to make it in regional languages. And basically the idea is that if people start to take these courses in their own homes and living rooms, and they find that they have interest, if we can get 10,000 students interested in this, for example, these pre-recorded courses is layer 1. If we can get 10,000 students to be interested in those, then maybe 1,000 of them can come to Zoom classes. Maybe we can go and meet them. So say we get suddenly 50 or 70 subscribers in Kolkata, then we will send our team to Kolkata and do a workshop or a camp over there. And hopefully after that, we can convince the best of them to come and join the drama school. So these are the kind of things that you have the opportunity to suddenly imagine because you're stuck with a pandemic and you have to reimagine yourself completely. And as I speak, and the courses are courses like these kind of a courses are what we were imagining, easy to access short courses. Uh, so, and as I speak, the second one of these courses is being filmed, and I hope we will launch these sometime between January and April. So this is kind of where we are in terms of the things we've been doing. Um, I'm just thinking, is there anything else I would like to show you? I think, yeah. And of course, during this time of the pandemic, we have spent a lot of time uh, trying to figure out. um Hold on. A lot of time trying to figure out how to communicate to the world better about what we're doing. So just like you are doing these seminars and webinars, we've been doing a number of conversations, talks, etc. And one of the things you can see here is the last video that went up literally when you and I were talking in the afternoon, Reena. This was posted where the students of the foundation course are sharing their first 6 weeks of experience in the digital medium. Because now the biggest challenge is how do we convince people that you can still teach theater in the digital medium. So that was a small rapid presentation. I was trying to keep tight on time. I'm sorry I went over.
No, no,
But
it's absolutely
this
it's
is what
phenomenal.
we've been trying to do. I mean, reimagining ourselves as we go forward.
Lovely. It's first of all, TP itself is a phenomenal institute, and then on top of it, the way you have responded to the pandemic, and really, I mean, I can imagine because to some extent at KCC also we felt that actually we got wings because the digital platform was never explored this way by us, and the audience themselves were also not that kind of inclined towards the digital platform which they are now. So it's actually a tool in a way which was unexplored before and we all got. So I'm really overwhelmed by the kind of work you have been doing, and now with this new way of working and responding to the pandemic, you have included all the online. It's phenomenal work. So I'll take from
I'd
here
like to
only.
say, when you say you, you're speaking about a team of, or at least 14 or 15 people who each in their own capacity has solved a different part of this very complex problem, be it the faculty who designed the course for
Yeah.
digital, be it the people who decided how to make the world recognize it. The Project Eklavya team is a whole new creature that we had to set up overnight. And theater professionals education side, they're just it's just a lot of different people sticking their heads together, solving for each part of the problem, and somehow working in individual capacities or working in smaller groups and solving each part of the puzzle and coming back to the main table and saying, this is how we think we can go forward. And at this point we're like, well, we don't know what's going to work. Nobody
Mm.
knows anything anymore, so why not try it? And then they try it. But when you
No.
say you, I just wanted to say there's a lot of people at work here.
Absolutely, I can imagine that. It's because it's the volume itself is huge. You just can't do. I mean, can't even fathom how much must have gone behind it. So taking a cue from there here only, I'll ask you my next question, which is in our country, the educational institute that includes art education work on a very different model than what you as an entrepreneur offer in DSM or to some extent in even TP. You do not have a affiliation with any university. You do not offer a degree or diploma, but a certificate. What is your take on the importance of entrepreneurship in art education or institutional spaces?
So there are two parts to that question. The first one is the affiliations and the partnerships. Why are we not with a university and all? Of course, we've explored it, but what we find is that when you are trying to, when we looked at the need gap in terms of what is happening in our country, what we need, we have institutions, but somehow they are either not outputting at the scale required or to have the kind of impact that is required for a country of 1.6 billion people now, right? 1.3 to 6 billion people.
Yes.
Um, and so there has to be some other kind of dynamic or different kind of solution. and we didn't know what the solution was. But as soon as you say, I want to create a university or a drama school, I have to already subscribe to pre-existing norms, pre-existing qualifications, certifications, audits, all of that kind of thing. And when we want to design a framework that is going to respond to a new need, we have to have that kind of freedom and autonomy. So we deliberately chose to stay out of those systems. And and when pandemic hit, I was so happy that we deliberately chose, because only that allowed us to respond, because we are our own authors of what we're going to do next. So this is the first element. The second one is this. I mean, I'm a theater director by training. A lot of us who work in our organization are artists, actors, performers, writers. They're creative people to begin with. But all of them recognize that in order to do their work, they have to have a certain level of organizational skill. They have to have an ability not just to write, but to see that their writing gets seen, to network, to promote, to earn cross-subsidize, so that if I'm not getting paid to write, I'm using a writer as this example in particular right now. If I'm not getting paid to write, then at least I'm getting paid somewhere else. I'm teaching writing somewhere else. I am writing copywriting somewhere else. I know how to manage my time. I know how to allocate so much time for professional rosy roti ka kaam, so that I can do my creative to kaam. Until such point, maybe 5 years or 10 years from now, because those are the kind of timelines involved in this world, I'm earning money from my creative work. I'm earning money from the fiction that I'm writing, or the plays that I'm writing, or the movie scripts that I'm writing. So um, and even then, you will find that actually writers don't get paid that much. So then, how do I use my network? How do I go and attend conferences and give speaking fees and appear on panels? And all of this adds up to what is going to be my way of making a living, creating a huge network, enriching myself further as an artist, and being able to have time to put creative output together, right? And discover my next project and my next project and my next project. And so this, what I've described in the writer's journey, is also the similar for the actor's journey or for the director's journey. And it's this aspect of entrepreneurship that we have to understand. Because actually, when you think about it, entrepreneurship is very much alive in Indian culture, in our way of working. If you look at the fact that every theater group out there is no private funding. There is no government funding, or the government funding is very hard and inaccessible for some people. And nobody knows how to go ahead and become a regularly funded organization, right? Yet, out of college theater emerges theater groups. These theater groups sustain. The people in the theater groups are doing part-time work elsewhere and all. We have enterprise. We have had multiple theater groups. India's theater ecosystem has existed for decades. I am trying to give them more tools with which to be more successful and more impactful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So entrepreneurship at the individual level and at the collaborative level for us are two very key aspects for any artist or any artistic or creative venture to succeed.
Yeah, so since we have come to the entrepreneurship aspect, which is there even in the making of theater, so we do see, as you mentioned, that artists are doing incredible work in making of art as an entrepreneur, whether it is theater, dance, or any other form of art. But when it comes to reach of their work, they struggle. And since they're always not, represented by an organization, it becomes even bigger challenge. So my question to you is, how do you think one should deal with this? Do you think artists should limit themselves to creation of art only? Because at times it is a little dilemma, because it is also considered that artists should not get involved in business, because then it sort of affect on their creativity. So what do you think, that how should artists deal with this?
So every famous artist you can think of, be it Ai Weiwei from China, be it Andy Warhol from the US. I'm looking at fine artists, for example, be it Leonardo da Vinci in the Sistine Chapel, right? The ones you remember are the ones who did their art but they made sure that they did the work around presenting the art, supporting the art. Ai Weiwei doesn't make art on his own. He has a team of 25 assistant artists. Okay, that means he's hiring people. He is organizational skills. There is a budget involved. He has found an executive member to help him do all of that work. That is business management of some kind, right? That is organizational management of some kind. Okay, yet he makes amazing art that compels all of us. Similarly, Andy Warhol. Similarly, all of these different people. This idea that मुझे आर्ट ही करना है, मैं तो क्रिएटिव सा आदमी हूँ या औरत हूँ, मैं ये सब नहीं कर सकता हूँ, ये तो कोई मुझे काम दिलाओ. I mean, we all know how that story ends. It's a sad story, and it's unfortunate that we don't have that kind of ecosystem around us where you can be discovered and supported. I mean, even if you want to be discovered and supported at the most basic level, consider this. Have you done the work that requires you to find a patron, to find, and that even requires networking, that it requires basic different things that come in the world of being an entrepreneur, being a producer of your own work. So my advice to all creative people everywhere is to stop thinking of yourselves as an individual artist, creative person, but actually say that if you're Reena Dewan artist, call yourself Reena Dewan Creative Enterprises. Right? Everyone, just take your name as an artist and just call yourself that Creative Enterprises. Okay? You are the enterprise. You have a goal. 5 साल के अंदर मुझे ये पाना है, मुझे ये अचीव करना है. राइट? ओके, अगर 5 साल में अचीव करना है तो 2.5 साल में क्या करना चाहिए? अच्छा, 2.5 साल में उधर वहां तक पहुंचने के लिए आपको 1 साल के अंदर क्या करना चाहिए? आई होप यू डोंट माइंड मी swapping into English and Hindi.
Oh, absolutely comfortable. Yeah.
Okay, so if you need to know that at 1 year from today you have to reach this point, then where do you have to reach 6 months from today?
Right.
And if that means if 6 months from today, where do you have to reach 1 month from today? Oh, so in 1 month you have to reach there. What do you have to start doing today? Right? Already you've timelined a journey for yourself. And in that journey, you will keep time for creating. You will create time for enriching yourself. You will create time for downtime. And you will also create the necessary time for networking, for figuring out how you're going to sustain yourself through other industry, through other work. And figuring out how you're going to get your work seen and produced, etc. And it sounds daunting, but my suggestion, and I think you know this as a fellow entrepreneur and a fellow arts entrepreneur, is you start with one project. I started with one 6-day workshop in 2008. All I knew how to do, all I felt confident to be able to do in 2008 was arrange for a 6-day workshop. On a monthly basis. And with each workshop, I developed better skills. And one day I said, let me try a 3-week workshop. And I developed better skills. And at one point, after 4 3-week workshops, I said, chalo, let us try a 1-year program. And by that time, all the work, all the connections, all the learning that I had as an organizer of these things, all the time also being true to myself as a creator of a drama school, as a creator of an institute, right? We know we want this value in our work. We never compromised on those values. And the act of designing the school itself was an act of creativity for us. And you have to find that actually all of this stuff that we tend to shy away from. Even now, sometimes I miss I watch a fellow theater director and they've just made a play and I miss it. I feel very sad. Kash agar main udur hota. But I know that I am doing creative things in different ways, and the people around us are doing creative things in different ways.
Absolutely.
So
And
let them not look at the self-managerial aspects of life as something that is a bad thing. It is a necessary thing. It will make you stronger and more productive. You must go forward with that. I will also challenge you. If you are saying that मुझे artist ही रहना है, I feel like you are hiding behind that from getting on with being successful as an artist. Because this challenges you to go outside your comfort zone. And it is only outside our comfort zone, as the pandemic has shown us, that we thrive and can do so much.
And in fact, I'll add one more thing to what you're saying, Jehan, because I have seen within the space that I work in that uh, artists actually can best speak for themselves. No critic can write the best for them. No arts manager can present their work the best because it is their work. They connect with it. They actually knows what was going on inside them when they were trying to create that artwork. So they have to own that work and own that work not only in the creation process, but even putting it out there in public view. They have to control to some extent that part as well. Otherwise, it may just take a turn that actually artists feel that no, I've not been represented properly. So it is very much important that if you have that kind of approach in your presentation of your work, not only in the making process,
Hmm.
it will really take you far because the language that you want for your work, you know the best. Because I've seen so many times I interact with artists and they're like, okay, I really can't put it in word. So I have shown my art through my work. That's of course commendable. There is no doubt about that. But at the same time, you're leaving it to the other person to interpret it. And I don't know how much they are able to or they are capable of interpreting that work.
I completely agree with this, and I know the feeling that you're speaking of because I have it as well. When my communications team says, Jehan, we must write down what our vision and mission is. We must try and do our brand values. We must talk about, why is it important to come to the drama school and all. I don't want to talk about it. I hate it. I hate it. I would say, look, here are the alumni. Look at what they are doing. This speaks for itself. Why must I communicate it? And the truth is that there was one year I was very adamant about this. And that year we got only 32 applications
Hmm.
and never made that mistake again. And only that's why we get 100, 200 applications now every year and not that kind of thing. And it's I'm sorry to say this. I don't mean any disrespect to the artists who feel like my work must speak to himself, but it's foolish. Your work will speak for itself. But if you can't get them in the door to see the work, then the work exists in if people don't even see the work,
Hmm.
then the work can't speak for itself because no one is there to hear it. No one is there to witness it. So you have to be able to do at least what is required to communicate yourself first to your key stakeholders around you, the people who are supporting you, the people who, you have people in your life who will say, I see that you are struggling. How can I help? Right?
Hmm.
And they can't help by giving you everything or giving you money or doing anything, but everybody around you can help in some way. Someone will help by just saying a kind word about your work to somebody else, as little as that. But if you can communicate your work to people, if you can communicate the importance why you feel it is so important, then already people will start coming. And then finally, you will get your wish. Finally, your work will communicate for you, and the people around you will communicate for you, and you won't have to do that. But that is 10 years down the line. For the first 5 years, for the first 7 years, I'm still having to communicate my work, and I've been doing this for 10, 12 years.
That's true. I mean, as Shabasti was mentioning that we have in the last month we had Bose with us, and of course Bose is a well-known person all around the world. But you know how much he emphasized on speaking about his work himself first. That was phenomenal. Like he doesn't think that okay, I am Bose Krishnachari. Everybody knows my work. People know about Binale. No, he still made a presentation about the Binale. That was phenomenal. He did not come up with this thing that okay, people know it already. Why should I speak about it? So now,
So
I,
humility is it's an important one to keep going on.
absolutely. So I'll go back to your organization again. And so when I look at the contemporary theater, I see not only contemporary actually, but more so contemporary theater. I see it as a phenomenal medium of immediate reflection of the contemporary society, which essentially mean the urgency of a concern can be acknowledged through theater. In your work, it also seems the extension of this. You have been dynamic in your approach, and when I say you, I actually mean your entire team. So you have been dynamic in your approach in changing strategies promptly. What we know about the process is that the team has a voice in offering, deciding, and implementing these changes. So my question to you is, how do you deal with this whole process of breaking the hierarchy and hastening the decision making? And are there any perils in it?
It's it's really tough because when you start as a founder and co-founder, Tasneem and I still struggle with this even now. Um, is you have an idea in your head, you are communicating that idea, and everyone is trying to make your idea work, right? But at some point, um, uh, I think somewhere in year 5, 6, 7, 8, even only now I'm getting a bit better at it. It's people, because you were in that position and it was your vision, people kept coming to you for clarification. People kept coming to you for leadership, kept coming to you. So you would have a tendency to micromanage, you would have a tendency to get into everything, right? At some point, you had too much on your plate. And you had to either things started to fall off the plate and drop onto the floor, and then you suddenly realize that baki people around you who have been there for a while, they also are holding plates, and the plates are empty. So why have you not taken this from your plate and put it in their plate? And so I'll give you an example. Like, for example, the conducting of a particular kind of workshop for beginner actors, right? It was getting too hard for me to figure out, curate, keep on talking to different people, etc. We had somebody who had attended multiple ones and who were also helping us with them. And so it was just to say to them, you think you can manage this? All I want is that every workshop, 12 people should show up. There should be this many outcomes. Nobody should complain about it. And we should have 3 workshops lined up in advance for curation point of view. Can you handle that? Yes. So I forgot about it. All I knew was very nervous the first month, and suddenly I saw a workshop announcement appeared, this appeared, that appeared, and you could see that it was happening. 6 months later, I went into the workshop, and it looked nothing like anything that I would have managed or anything I would have created. I was furious. I was like, what is this? Why is this? Why are you doing it this way? Why are you doing it that way? They turned to me. Luckily, they also had the confidence, and they said, you said, give me this, give me this, give me this. Is that happening or not? Yes. Then why do you care how I do it? And I think that kind of thing was a learning for me in terms of the fact that you really have to let go, and you really have to, and I mean, I let go of those small things first. Some of the big things I still hold to my chest, even though there are people saying, I can take it, let me take it, and so it's very hard, even from my side. So that is the challenge of it, that the hierarchy will remain as long as you as a founder keep holding it to yourself, right? As soon as you start to just say, chalo, ye lo. So I think the pandemic in a way has forced me also, and forced some of us in our leadership positions to say, kisi ek jan ke paas upay nahi hai, right? And that's why I described how the team came together and different team members solved what was on their plate, because a pandemic was like something that hit all our plates. And this is how we've managed. So I think the hierarchy starts to dissolve there. On the other side of it, I think that at least in theater and in things that involve collaboration, creative acts of, like, not isolated art forms, but collaborative art forms like theater, like contemporary dance. I think the hierarchies are easy to break down, because you have to, your creative output has to be a sum total, or a jugalbandi of all the different creative voices in the room, right? Actors, designers, directors, they all work and they all bring their individual creativity to one creative goal. And at that point, the hierarchical role is not to say, this is my vision. It is to say that we are trying to jointly solve this problem. We all agree that this is what we want to achieve, and everyone finds their way to achieve it and bring it together as a single creative act. So I think that that's what we do now. And so there, the hierarchy breaks down to a much flatter hierarchy. But there's still a hierarchy. It's. I wish it was be more non-hierarchical. Um, I think my dream situation is, I sit back. Everyone knows that this is the goal of the DSM. This is the goal of theater professionals education, and they are the ones who come up with it. And they come to me and they come to some of the top leaders like Tasneem and all, and just say, well, this is how we want to go ahead with it because and this is why. And for the most part, we will ask some questions, and we will just see that कहीं मतलब बुरी तरह से बाएं दाएं ना हो जाए.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think
Absolutely.
it's possible, but it happens through everyday practice and everyday handing over and trusting others. And from an individual artist entrepreneur point of view, it
Hmm.
happens from day one, communicating what you are trying to achieve and
Hmm.
asking other people to think with you on how you can achieve it.
So, if you need a team that is able to voice and propose a dynamic strategy and even implement it, I'm sure such a team need an investment in their capacity building. Please share how do you ensure their capacity building?
Well, I can't say that I send them off for trainings or workshops or anything because my capacity was built by just doing it.
Hmm.
Um, we, you asked me in the afternoon how have we managed to adapt so rapidly.
Hmm.
And we've adapted so rapidly because we had nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Hmm.
Once the pandemic hit, uh, nothing was wrong. Everything was,
Hmm.
nothing could be wrong.
Yeah.
And even my own capacity, as I said, no, one workshop, then two workshops, then five workshops, etc.,
Hmm.
taught me everything I learned. I learned everything on the job by doing it, right? By just so anybody in the team who we want to develop, they come back with a result. They say, "मैंने ये किया है." Then we say, "Okay, go back and do it again." But now
Hmm.
there's an additional aspect to it. And of course, they are worried. They don't think they're going to make it. They are concerned. Sometimes they fall flat on their face and fail also. Then we say, "Go back and do it again."
Hmm.
And we know the investment is the fact that ठीक है, time was invested, resources were invested. Maybe that little event or that little project came at a loss, didn't break even. Sometimes we've had huge problems. There was once we created a project that didn't even take off.
Hmm. Hmm.
But every project comes with learning, and every learning, even the people who get promoted or the people who get bigger roles in the organization aren't people who just successfully deliver project to project. I would
Hmm.
worry if that was the case,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Everybody gets a chance to do something again, and everybody gets a chance to take their failures and also put them into practice.
Hmm.
And it's only through those things that we have learned. So that's how capacity building works in our organization. The other side is that, yeah, you can say Jehan is the boss. From external stakeholders tend to treat us like this. And
Hmm.
I think this is a big challenge that we have as an organization, which we still haven't figured out.
Hmm.
Where anybody in the team goes out and says कि मैं DSM का हूँ और मुझे ये I've come to do this with you.
Hmm.
And somebody from TP says that also.
Hmm.
And some people will say Tasneem कहाँ है, Jehan कहाँ है.
Hmm. Hmm.
एंड जब मैं मांगता हूँ या जब मैं इंटरफेस करता हूँ बाहर एक्सटर्नल स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ, द
Hmm.
रिजल्ट समटाइम्स इज अ लिटिल बिट डिफरेंट.
Hmm.
Not for everybody. Some
Hmm.
people recognize it's an institution and they
Right.
say, Acha, the DSM is talking to us.
Hmm.
But a lot of people don't.
Hmm.
And I think that because of that, you are forced to take that position of leader when you actually don't want to and you want to empower your team.
Right.
And that is hard, and it is a big challenge because the team is actually sometimes even communicating the vision and the idea of the DSM better than I am
Hmm. Hmm.
now. And this comes with years, right? It comes with some of our people have worked with us for 10, 15, 10 years now.
Yeah.
So these are the places where the hierarchy is not defeated.
Right. Hmm.
And I think that I'm thinking about it now as I speak to you, and I'm going to go back and see how we can learn from this. But I'm actually thinking, how do we get more and more empowerment so that the external stakeholders
Hmm.
don't force you to play the hierarchical roles?
Right. Right.
I don't have an answer to that.
Hmm. So I'll again share something that even the similar situation happens, of course, in all organization, even in ours. So I remember that sometimes people speak to the team, but at the same time they forward me the message, saying, showing that they have spoken to my team member and this is it. Or sometimes they directly write to me, despite that I've told them this is the person who's going to deal with them. In such situation, now what I've started doing is that I tell them that, see, if you will leave things directly on me, they will get missed out because I am into so many things. Whereas if this person is holding on and you are telling them, it will happen, but I'm in touch. Don't worry. Don't think that I am not aware what is happening. They are continuously talking to me and sort of discussing with me, also having a conversation also. So whatever you're getting to know, I do have my own share of indulgence in that. But at the same time, if you leave it only on me, you only write to me, nothing will move, because at times people don't mark copies to the concerned person. They just straight away write to me. So I know what you're sort of struggling with, this kind of hierarchy that you which you don't want, but people sort of force because they feel that dealing with the maybe the top boss or the senior one will help them in
Yeah.
better way, which is not the fact actually. Actually, very truly, I can miss out because there's so
The
many
repeat
mails on my.
stakeholders. Your
Yes,
the repeat stakeholders have experienced where something got dropped because they only CC'd me.
yeah,
And after that they learn.
that's true.
And then it becomes a slightly expensive exercise for them and for us sometimes. And
Yes.
then after that they don't make the mistake. The ones who continue to do that and insist on doing that, I think slowly, unfortunately, they weed out of the system because luckily we have a community around us who are willing to work in this way. I'll tell you another little trick that I
Hmm.
use,
Hmm.
I suppose, is
Hmm.
when I'm having a joint introductory meeting between me, my team member who's actually in charge, and the external stakeholder, right? I keep acting all muddled up. Actually, not acting, I am muddled up because I've got so many things to do. I have to keep going to this person, to my
Hmm.
team member, to say, how is it? What is it actually happening? What are
Hmm.
we supposed to do?
Hmm.
Right? And as soon as that happens, I think that they witness the little act between the two of us and they
Hmm.
realize कि जेहान को disturb कर you know what they say, इसको कुछ नहीं आता है, मैं इनके पास जाता हूँ तभी काम हो जाएगा. So in some levels, I think that
Hmm.
uh, you have to be almost deliberately incompetent.
Absolutely, I can totally
And I'm
understand.
okay with that because it's one less thing to think about. It's one less thing to be good at or right about. There are other people who can do it for me better.
Lovely. I'll put my last question to you and take the audience question then. Uh, Very small one. What are the institutions that are inspiration for you?
Um, in India or everywhere?
Everywhere.
God. So one of the other drawbacks about doing this work is
Hmm.
that you're so buried in your own work that you don't have time to look at other institutions. I don't make enough time for myself, so that's a big flaw.
Hmm.
Um, the institutions that are inspirational to me, oh God. Hmm. So I like an organization in Delhi called Khoj,
Hmm.
run by Pooja Sood.
Hmm.
I think she's an amazing person who's managed to do a lot for the arts administration ecosystem. I think
Hmm.
that's a phenomenal organization.
Hmm.
Um, I really, uh, um, I'm just thinking, I really like an organization called ITI Singapore,
Mhm.
Intercultural Theatre Institute. It used to be called Theatre Training Research and Praxis.
Hmm.
And that is because they have managed to marry all of these formal structures of pedagogy, of administration, etc., in a drama school. But the
Hmm.
content of the drama school is things like Japanese No and Beijing opera and Kudiyattam and Kalari. And so all of these very traditional Asian art forms that are Guru Shishya Parampara that you could never imagine being um, co-opted or adapted into a more contemporary framework. The fact
Hmm.
that they have successfully done that is a huge point of envy for me because I think that even what we are doing
Hmm.
now
Hmm.
as an organization, when I say theater professionals, we want
Hmm.
to professionalize the theater ecosystem in India.
Hmm.
Um, we have to I think we should actually be saying empower the theater ecosystem in India because the theater ecosystem in India has
Hmm.
been rich and diverse. It's just not the theater ecosystem that you recognize on Broadway or the West End or,
Hmm.
where state subsidy is a very heavy thing or something like that.
Hmm.
So, in that way, TTRP has a good example through content at least, how they married it. And I think we should look up to organizations like that can do this kind of thing. I think beyond that, I like I really like this collective over here in Mumbai called Commune,
Okay.
spelled with a K,
Okay.
in terms of how they are trying to get storytelling and make it, mass accessible to people, to discover the power of storytelling, to enjoy the power of storytelling, to find their own, to democratize the idea that anybody can become a storyteller, right? And I think that any organization that has somehow created mass access, so that
Mm.
for every one person in the organization, 1,000 people have started participating actively
Mm.
with their inner self of creativity. I think those are the organizations we must respect. I have an interesting thing that I want to put to you, and I think that you at KCC will also appreciate and maybe use this as a benchmark.
Mm.
When we think about a country's healthcare system, and
Mm.
we look at how many doctors per capita, how many doctors per 1,000 people,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
We look at that as an indicator.
Mm.
My question is, why are we in the arts world not saying how many artists per 1,000 people,
Right.
how many creators per 1,000 people?
Mm.
Because for every artist
Mm.
that touches 100 lives, 100 lives have कुछ अलग सोच आ गया दिमाग में,
Mm. Mm.
right?
बिल्कुल. Mm.
How many storytellers, how many community, and more than that, how many community artists? So
Mm.
artists who actually empower communities to participate creatively.
Right.
And I think this would be a very good sign of a country's social health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Such
So
a powerful tool for self-expression as well, which we all struggle with.
yeah, and I think that if we all start to use our own minds,
Mm.
and we all really find our voices to express, that's
Mm.
the other thing. When you engage in art, when you engage in theater, right? You build a muscle that makes you want to get up and do something about it. You actually get up to act,
Mm.
not act as in perform Shah Rukh Khan, ma, no, act, take action,
Mm.
right?
True.
And so if we're going to take action, if you get everybody in your reach
Mm.
to exercise the internal muscle of taking action,
Mm.
right? Suddenly you will create so many more people who will not sit by idly
Mm.
and watch society go the way it is going. You know that in Dante's Inferno,
Mm.
he talks about the different levels of hell,
Mm.
and you
Mm.
have rapists and murderers and all. They're all in the top levels of hell, like level 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm.
The deepest level of hell, level 7 or 12, jo bhi hai, I'm not
Mm.
that thing, is reserved for those who saw something wrong and did nothing about it.
That's true.
Now
Absolutely.
imagine if we can get all of us to,
Mm.
more and more people, to not go to that level of hell. Suddenly, this large right wing and this large left wing,
Mm.
एक दूसरे की तरफ भौंकते हैं बहुत.
Mm.
They'll suddenly realize that 80% of our population is tired of them and tired of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We have to give that 80% voice.
Absolutely. And just not sit and, maybe just crib between our dinner talks and really
Yeah.
do something more solid about it. So, there is a question I'll take. When an artist is getting patronized or sponsored from some institution, sometimes there is a pressure of making art in a certain way. How that kind of compromisation of art making happen, and how to deal with it, especially when you are in the threshold of making artwork and you need money.
You have to stay true to, you have to you see whatever there's no right or wrong answer to this. You're going, whatever you decide, ultimately you will have to live with those actions. It has to sit well with you, right? It doesn't matter, 5 years from now nobody will even remember that this happened, but you will remember. So can you live with yourself in terms of the kind of work you're creating, right? I needed the money, I had to eat. Yes, I can live with myself. That is a fair choice. No, I mean, I would never have created art like this. I would have never taken it this way, ever. And I will sit there 5 years from now. So today I would rather say, nahi chalo, मैं कहीं struggle करता हूँ, but I'm going to stay true to my principles. Fine, but then there will be suffering. After 5 years, will you regret the fact that you suffered or not?
Hmm.
Only you can tell the answers to these questions. I think the best thing is don't be beholden to any one source. You, um, how do I put this? Okay, I'll tell you how I put this. Uh, uh, I'm not a very confident human being, or I wasn't a very confident human being to start with, right? I still do in some ways, not so much anymore. But I used to wait for people's permission
Hmm.
to take action.
Hmm.
And I think that's a byproduct of our education system. I came from a public school.
Hmm.
Sir, may I come in? Ma'am,
Hmm.
may I sit down? अबे तो बैठना है तो बैठ जाओ अंदर आना है तो अंदर आओ क्लास के लिए अंदर आना ही पड़ेगा ना now imagine that now if in our very DNA we
Hmm.
live in a permission culture
Right.
right
Hmm.
also for me like क्या मैं सही कर रहा हूँ कि गलत कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि
Hmm.
सही और गलत भी बड़ा चीज था हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम में
Hmm.
there is a right way there is a wrong way अरे there is your way बस
Yeah.
okay and my point is in all of this
Hmm.
we are beholden we are waiting for someone's approval we are waiting for someone's paycheck we are
Hmm.
waiting on someone
Hmm.
you have a timeline in your 5 year goal of Reena Dewan creative enterprises आपको मालूम है कि आपको 5 साल के बाद वो करना है
Hmm.
I'm using you Reena as an example because you're the only
Please.
person I can see on the screen
Hmm.
in that sense
Hmm.
what do you need to do by the end of the month we did that conversation right how do you make the 2.5 year plan the 1 year plan the month plan what
Hmm.
do you need to do at the end of the month
Hmm.
okay so what do you need to do tomorrow okay nothing you have to do must wait on somebody else and
Hmm.
for everything that you have to do that waits on another person you have to have a plan B अगर वो revert नहीं करता है अगर
Hmm.
उनसे पैसा नहीं मिलता है then I
Hmm.
have to find another way because मुझे तो अपना काम करना है I
Hmm.
have to finish this self-made project for myself.
Hmm.
So in all of those senses, I know it's a ghuma firake way to come back to the question that was posed.
Hmm.
You have to figure out how reliant you are on the permission of the other person. And if that reliance doesn't sit well with you, the next time you do, maybe you do it this way this time.
Hmm.
But then know that next time you go into an engagement like this, go in with your eyes open, knowing exactly what you will do. The other thing I can say to you is this. If you go to a patron and the patron is putting pressure on you in one way or the other, and you yield to that pressure and you say, "ठीक है," and you're
Hmm.
okay with it,
Hmm.
let you know that the next time you try and do the work, the
Hmm.
patron will want you to yield even more.
Right.
So you are helping the patron decide what your artwork should look like, and you're giving them more and more power.
Hmm.
And they have power. And it's unfortunate that we do not have a situation where patrons themselves understand I'm supporting you to do whatever you want to do.
Hmm.
So figure out how to have that conversation also.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to that first question, Reena, that you were talking about. I
Hmm.
have to be able to communicate my vision.
Hmm.
Then the patron agrees to that vision. So
Hmm.
then later on, when a request comes in, etc., if
Hmm.
it goes against it, you can communicate further and say, well, of course, it goes against what I was trying to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And uh, if you do agree to do what you're not actually not wanting to do, you will suffer long term. You
Yeah.
may lose a project one time, but at least you will be sorted for much longer time. Whereas if you just bend your own personal choices for the sake of one project, you may just suffer. Your whole direction just might change altogether, because then you would set a precedent that, okay, you had been doing this, so why you are saying no to me when you have done that before? So it is always better to decide what you want and not do it, rather than doing it and then saying, okay, next time मैं नहीं करूंगी ऐसा, next time मैं compromise नहीं करूँ. There's no next time. Once you've done it, you've done it.
And if it's a matter of survival, if it's a matter of the next paycheck, the next meal on the table, all of that stuff, you've got family members reliant on you, you've got medical bills, jo bhi hai, everyone has personal
Yeah.
circumstances. Then start immediately to see where all you can get income, what ways can you do things, how can you balance it? Because artists are multifaceted people. We
Absolutely.
are capable of working in different places at different times as freelancers doing different things. There are people who've also had full-time jobs and do their art in the evening. but they just work that extra amount, they sleep that less, something will get sacrificed somewhere. Either family life will get sacrificed, either income will get sacrificed, either creativity will get sacrificed. You have to find the balance. But if you want to not be um, crippled by one particular source, one particular thing, then find a way that you can always go on your own 2 feet, no matter what.
Uh, I think we'll take our last question,
Sure.
which is that theater professional is a private organization and not a foundation. Is it? Okay. So, but for the DSM, you chose to make a foundation. Why this differentiation?
So, a number of reasons. So Theatre Professionals was a private limited company because we really wanted to force and challenge ourselves to earn our own living through our practices and our work. And we wanted to practice the idea of profitability, which didn't actually happen because every piece of basically all the money theatre professionals made, we put into the Drama School Mumbai to create it, right?
Mm,
And I mean a lot. I
mm,
mean that we could have been uh, theatre professionals today is suffering a little bit because they did not use, we did not reinvest that money into theatre professionals. And that is a regret I have now.
mm, mm,
But having said that, the private limited ethos was it just allows us to be fluid, flexible, and dynamic in certain ways. It allows us to treat the business like a business. And it also gave us, who are all creative people and artists, much more aptitude on understanding that money is also an important factor in anything. On the not-for-profit side, with the drama school, we created it because at the end of the day, we think of it's education.
mm,
Number one, we knew that we could have gone the investor route and become like an academy, and then
mm,
people would have pressured us to create returns and give dividends and all of that, and we
mm,
didn't want to because actor training and drama training requires time. The outputs and the results of it are 20 years later in the alumni, in what they do in the sector. These are not tangible things that I can sell immediately, right? Yes, I can sell the course, but I don't want suddenly like जबरदस्ती कोई बोलता है कि आप एक्टिंग फॉर कैमरा डाल दो और दो
mm,
सेलिब्रिटी इंस्ट्रक्टर्स लाओ ताकि हमारा एनरोलमेंट बढ़ जाए.
mm,
We are true to ourselves in terms of curatorial purposes, in terms of benchmarks and quality standards that were purely pedagogical in nature.
mm,
So we can go to funders also, we can ask for donations, we can ask for grants, and
mm,
people understand the vision, and there are people who will give us money for that kind of thing, though not right now, but
mm,
that's okay. But at the same time, we are not doing charity at that level ki chalo, we won't cover our bottom line. We have to become a break-even organization. So in
mm,
that sense, the business sense, you have to have business sense whether you're a profit organization or not for profit organization. The
mm,
only question is what do you do with any surplus revenue? So number one, you have to cover costs every year, no matter what. You have to
mm,
find a way, or you have to make your plan so that you can afford to work that year,
mm,
right?
mm,
Um, so that's one side, and the second side is that if you do make a surplus in the for-profit organization, fine, you
mm,
can create dividends. You can take it home and say, "Chalo, मैंने ये कमा दिया," or you can
mm,
choose to reinvest for growth. But
mm,
in the not-for-profit side, you will
mm,
always take that surplus and put it back to the cause of, in our case, building a better ecosystem for theatre. In our
mm,
case, we'll put it back to more scholarships, or we'll put it back to developing a new course which we know will not be profitable,
mm,
but is a necessary course.
mm,
So it's just how you use the money in both cases.
mm. Okay. Uh, I'm just reading the question because I think somewhere we have already answered it. You said self promotion and networking and making yourself seen is important. How do you suggest one should do that?
Okay, so I don't want to talk about self promotion, networking, and all. just for the sake of making yourself seen. Okay, so let me put it another way. I have a project, I need to get it done. In order to do that, I need to go and communicate myself and what I'm trying to do to the world. When I go to a network, it is because of two things. One is because networks are only as good as what people put into the network, not what people take out of the network. A network is effective when people are in the network are willing to contribute to the network. Then only it has things, no? If everyone is coming to suck the network dry, then network पे कुछ होगा नहीं. So if
True.
we come to a network to expect things from the network, so you always go to network both to say कि मेरे पास ये है, मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ आप लोग के लिए, and मेरा ये need है, आप में से कोई मुझे मदद कर सकते हो, right? But both so it's not self promotion. It's I have work, I have this project, I'm communicating this project, and I'm trying to get it done, right? So that's the first aspect. Networking also, you go to networks with your project. People will find value in your project and say, hey, actually, if you're doing this project, can you come and do it with me over here, or can we do it in this way? And you take decisions on the basis of all of that. But the people seeing who you are and what you're about will automatically come, because after the first project, there's the second project. After the second project, there's the third project. By that time, you have cumulatively gathered a network. You have cumulatively created a reputation for yourself or your team that says कि हम ये करते हैं. People will talk about you. हाँ, वो तो ये करते हैं. And उन्होंने ये किया और वो किया और वो किया. And you create a history. And so it's not self promotion. मैं बस आ रहा हूँ बस अपना ढोल मचाने के लिए. The rhythm that is matured is the work you are doing, not what you are saying.
Lovely. Thank you so much for the phenomenal conversation that we had, Jehan, and I'm thankful to you especially because you shared open-heartedly without actually avoiding any question, which is telling me you about you as a person, that you're ready to share, you're ready to help the entire ecosystem grow even more. Like I always say that I wish there were more organizations like Kolkata Center for Creativity coming into Kolkata, because that whole ecosystem will flourish. I love it. We all love it when we go abroad and we see in a line there are three very very big museums, and we say wow. We don't think that they're competition to each other, but we see that they add to the ecosystem because their entire road is covered with museums. So thank you so much for your generosity coming and sharing with us. And I am feeling enriched myself already. For few things I am feeling more assured, because as you said that you are not confident, I am worse than you. So when you do work, you keep questioning, but again, part of our education that we keep questioning ourselves always. We never say that we know or we understand. So to some
That's a
extent
good part.
that's a good part.
That's a good
So
part. But keep moving forward. Keep doing
yeah,
it.
yeah. So I'm feeling reassured, which is very good with some of the things that you said, and I'm getting a guideline for myself also with few things that you said, and I'm sure that all would have gained something from this conversation today. So thank you so much, and I'll uh, ask Shravasti to close us. Request her
Thank
to.
you. Thank you for having me. Much honored.
Thank you, Jehan. Thank you. I mean, I can't thank you enough, like what all I have learned from the session. I hope all of us have the same experience. And thank you, Reena ma'am, for hosting this conversation. Thank you all for joining us. And this is the last session of this season, and we are going to take a break for 1 month, and we'll be back in January with a new series of Artist to Entrepreneur. Stay with KCC. When this pandemic will be over, hope Jehan you will come to KCC, and hope you all will visit to KCC. Thank you so
We
much.
will
Have a
be
very good
hosting the
night.
Drama School Mumbai
Stay
in
well.
Kolkata
Ah, lovely.
Yes, sure.
Plan.
without fail.
Lovely. We'll look.
Great, wonderful. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Shabasti.
Thank you.